Hello everybody and welcome to live stream number 10 from my humble abode. I'm Shick, head of studio for Atomic Mass Games, and today we have some really exciting stuff to go over. I'm going to be going over and painting our new upcoming Thanos with the gauntlet full of its delicious infinity gems. So we're going to have some fun experiments on this guy, do something really different, and see how it comes out. I haven't really played with too much with it, but I have some ideas, so we're going to go for a really desaturated kind of blue, purple, gray suit Thanos with some white armor, I think, and we're just going to really bring this guy down, make him look nice and evil, kind of like a bad clone copy of normal Thanos. Other than that, I also have some really cool stuff to show you. We're going to be announcing over the next two streams our staff picks from the first Atomic Mass Games Crisis Protocol Painting Challenge, which we selected last week. So we're going to be showing off the people that we selected based on our criteria of poppy bright colors. So that's what we were looking for this last month. Our current contest is going on right now, where you can get the challenge going and see who's got the brushes and the colors to come in with textures. So our current painting challenge is textures. That's hashtag painting protocol, and it's on Instagram if you want to enter. I encourage you guys all to do it. We had a blast looking at everybody's entries. They were super awesome, everybody's submissions and pictures and all of that stuff. You guys did an amazing job. But I'm going to be showing off 3, and Dallas will be showing off another 3 selections from the staff on Thursday at 1 p.m. when he dives into his Thanos. So I think that's enough of that. I'm going to get right on to the good camera that's off of my quarantine look. And we're going to get right into this Thanos. So there he is, the big bad himself. And I've done my Zenith Prime on this guy. So I undercoated with a dark color. I hit him from the top with a light gray. And we are ready to rock and roll on this guy. So I think I'm going to start. And I'm going to start with, and like I said, we're just really going to experiment and have fun with this guy. So I'm going to start with this Brain Eater Azure, which is from the Fantasy and Game line. It's kind of like this really desaturated lavender color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this kind of into a wash, and I'm going to get this into all of the little crevices to kind of act as my shade and to just kind of tint the overall look of this guy. And then from there, I'm going to build up the colors using some blending and stuff to take this guy up into more of a kind of bluish lavender white. And I've chosen 3 colors to kind of work with on this. I'll show you the other 2 colors just so you guys can get a kind of a look on it. So my other 2 choices here that I'm going to be working with just to kind of see how this plays out. And so I have this Lilandris Gray, which is kind of going to be my base tone or my mid-tone. And then I have this Arctic Blue color from the normal scale color. And so maybe you can see this on the palette. So if you look, let's see if the camera will zone in here. So if you look right here, these are the 3 colors. So that is going to be my shade. This is kind of my base. That's the Lilandris Gray. And then this is the Arctic White. So you can kind of see how those layer up on each other. They still have elements of that same kind of lavender purple to them. Bit of a bluish hue. That is going to make a really interesting kind of color, and it's going to be fun to play with, and it's going to come out with a really different kind of Thanos that's going to be menacing, not because he's, bright and vivid, but more because he's just going to look like he's devoid a little bit of color, and we all know that things without color are typically either evil or sad, I guess. Or they're dead, depending on what cartoon you're watching, I suppose. But yeah, we just really want to play with kind of that sinister nature of these really desaturated, kind of lifeless colors, kind of giving that deceased look with the purples, and we're just going to have fun. And we're just going to play around and see what we can come up with. Some inspiration from this. Really just kind of came out from the fact that I wanted to play with kind of an idea of a really desaturated kind of white color, but I didn't want to do like a traditional white suit. I wanted to get that kind of that iconic bluish purple tinge that Thanos is known to have from his standard comic suit. I kind of wanted to challenge myself and again just experiment with some of these colors, because that's half the fun going into this stuff, is just discovering how to do some things differently, to push kind of our understanding of these things and come up with a Thanos that's uniquely ours and uniquely from this stream. So I'll be careful to try to avoid getting anything on the armor, because I have a plan for that too. Right now my current thinking is there's some really great white metallics that Scale 75 has. And so I'm kind of playing with the idea of really just going all in on the saturated angle, doing some really white metallics to go along with this. Although now that I'm seeing kind of how this the shade color is coming in and how it does have a pretty strong lavender tone, I might play with some of the colored metallics, maybe use their amethyst metallic that's got this kind of lavender tinge to it, and tie in the suit shade with my armor colors. But I got a little bit of time before we get there, so thankfully I can think about that a little bit. So we're off to a good start. Got things going on. Let's see if I can get a bit more better light. There we go. I gotta get his little hood inside the armor plates here. So hopefully everyone is staying safe. I know a lot of the states have been reopening throughout phases. We've kind of hit a new level as well on our end of things in our neck of the woods. So that's pretty exciting, but obviously still a long way to come. The most important thing out there, of course, is that everyone stays safe, stays healthy, so that we can really continue to move forward. All right. Get that going. And get over here a little bit. Side. Sure we leave no stone unturned when it comes to this stuff. Okay, so it looks like we hit everything that we needed to. Whoa, I'm throwing paint on the ground. It's not great. Get in between those legs a little bit. Might even have to come back with like less of a wash and more of an actual paint, since that's really dark in there and this color's pretty light. So just make sure we have that nice and tinted. All right. So there we go. I saw on the Facebook that Josh, who is currently on vacation right now, really kindly decided that we were going to answer all of your questions today. So I'm super excited to see what questions come up based on the fact that we will answer all of them. I feel like Josh only said that because he knows that he gets a pass when we tell you, well, we can't answer that. Yeah, Josh took a couple days off just to enjoy kind of a bit of the early rainy summer in Seattle. I think he's the one who brought this bad weather down upon us, because it was so nice, and then Josh took his time off, and then all of a sudden it's been raining the last couple of days and really kind of cold for up here. Oh well. So I just get to hang out in here and paint with you guys. Alright, so there is our shade color. Kind of laid on. Again, I used a wash because I really wanted it to kind of just get into those cracks and stuff. What is his threat? See, this is what I knew would happen. What's his threat? Josh's threat level is probably a 12. He's pretty strong. He's got a lot of really special abilities and stuff going on. So I would not mess with Josh. Thanos' rules? I don't think even, I mean, I don't know, that's a question that I can even answer. Oh, I forgot his hand. One hand has a gauntlet, the other hand's bare. I better get to that. Whoop. It was almost a disaster. A disaster, I say. Josh is that 12. It's true. Josh's sass is definitely kind of his primary attack. He is a sassy boy, there's no doubt. A sassy, sassy boy. Kind of like that Janet Jackson song, but different. Because it's all about the sass. I gotta make sure that I stay on camera for you guys, so. Alright, so now I think we're good. On the shade. I personally didn't say anything. Josh made the claims, just to be clear here. So I want to make sure that we all know what's going on. We want to know who's making these promises. Right. So I'm just mixing up my next color, which is the Leandrus Gray. So we started with Brain Eater Azure, and now we're going to move to Leandrus Gray. And I'm just going to start blending this in. I'm really just kind of looking for where those highs are. I'm just using my second, like, wetter brush to do a little bit of blending. As I build out these colors. Yeah, I think all of your Burning Thanos questions are going to be ordered at soon too. I mean, you can, with a little bit of like hobby know-how, either create a sturdy pin for the gauntlet hand, or you could, you know, magnetize it if you wanted to, because the arm, like the gauntlet attaches right here. So it's like the whole piece, and it sits down in a plug like that. So it wouldn't take a lot of effort if you wanted to like have your Thanos be a jack of all hands, if you will. And you could build it out so he could do kind of anything you wanted. For sure. But just at his base, you know, it'd be a little tricky to design a miniature in hard plastic that would easily allow you to plug things in and out without losing a lot of that stability that you need from glue and stuff. The hand would just fall off a lot. So the options there for the hobbyist and modeler, and I think that it'll be accessible to anybody who really wants to do it. But it's a little like outside the box in terms of like how the thing assembles. Shade color and get in here. Go. What stopped us from allowing Thanos to, I mean, common sense, really. There was a version of Thanos way at the start that could take all 6 gems. And well, it it functioned, I guess is a good way to put it. Like, it worked. What we quickly realized through playing and stuff was that because you have to have these very strong strictures in terms of how a normal or a standard game of Crisis Protocol plays out and what you're doing, and what the game is. And the game is, you know, an objective-based narrative kind of experience where, as we've talked about, combat is really important, but combat itself is not the primary thing. It's not the most important. It's not how you're going to win the game by itself. It's proper application of combat, where to do it, strategy, tactics, while focusing on the narrative and the story from the Crisis cards. So the thing is that when you had Thanos take all 6 gems, it put him at a level and a point cost that, yeah, we could balance and function, but it changed the nature of the game so much that what we realized was it just wasn't the right move. And instead, where we found, you know, we'd always talked about wanting to do a multiplayer like boss raid mode, and we knew Thanos was going to be kind of one of the characters that was going to have it and have it be a core to him. What we found is that the experience was so much more rewarding when it was just left to Thanos being the big super bad in that ultimate encounter, rather than also being a full gem dude on a table. Because we could really, we could go all out. We could make that experience of Thanos with the full Infinity Gauntlet feel like what you always imagined or what you felt like it should be in your mind. From reading the comics, from watching the movies or the cartoons, or kind of any of the classic media. And so we stepped away, we abandoned the idea that Thanos could take all of the gems, and instead kind of focused on Thanos in the standard game as the Thanos in search. So this is the Thanos on the hunt. He hasn't reached his goal of obtaining all the gems yet. That Thanos, the Ascendant Thanos, the one that has everything, all of the gems and all of the power, and is ready to snap things out of existence to claim his ultimate victory, that Thanos is the ultimate encounter Thanos. And that Thanos gets to be represented not just with the Infinity Gauntlet, but we get to really dive into what the power of those things should feel like. So the gems themselves wind up being ultimate Infinity Gems, and they have their powers feed off of each other. Like, part of what makes the Infinity Gems so powerful is not just the fact that they are powerful artifacts in their own right, but that their powers kind of feedback loop, they play off of each other. And so by controlling them all in sequence, you can actually unlock even greater power from them and greater abilities. And so we kind of played into that with the Ultimate Encounter, and we said, okay, well, once you have all 6, you know, you have 1 and they do these really cool things for you in game. But once you get all 6, like, all bets are off. You control everything, basically. And so that was where we really got to dive into that and make it feel like that awesome, amazing encounter that everybody wants when they think of, like, okay, this is Thanos, we're going against Thanos with all the gems. Like, it's on. This is end game stuff, right? And in doing that, not only do we kind of realize what we wanted from the Ultimate Encounter, But we also realized that to take a watered down version of that and to put it into the standard game really did a disservice to that experience and to Thanos. And so it was yet more justification for the idea that we backed away and backed off of having Thanos be able to accomplish or carry all the gems in the standard game. And so that's why normal games with Thanos are a different flavor of Thanos. And I think that that flavor of Thanos is kind of the hunter Thanos, the Thanos that is looking for the gems, who's on his path to become the Ascendant, the master of the Infinity Gauntlet. Feels really right for the scale and the scope of those standard Crisis Protocol games. Of course, that is my opinion, and I think largely the opinion of, our testers and the staff and stuff who helped work on it. But there you go. Question answered. Duty done. Sweet. No more questions. So I'm just continuing to work on layering up this kind of like base highlight coat here. I'm just working everything through. Kind of go along. I'm keeping my paint fairly thin. So that I can easily blend it out with the other colors, and I'm kind of still maintaining that Zenith's Prime that I had going on. So my goal is definitely to keep that kind of undertone of the lavender from that azure in there as I build up these layers. So we're just building stuff out. Do you think we'll ever see Black Swan or Supergiant? I am not allowed to comment on potential future releases, or whatever that line was that we use so often. But that said, I think that, there's a lot of really good ground left to go with the Black Order, and I certainly wouldn't count anything as done in this game. From Avengers and Defenders and Cabal, on up, right? There's a lot of real estate. There's a lot of really awesome characters, and there's a lot of awesome growth. And like the Marvel Universe is a living thing. It's not something that you can count out as being completed, or like we're racing to this endpoint, because it will continue to evolve and grow as new creative teams come in and new stories are told. And we're certainly looking just as much forward as we are backwards when we work on this game. And I think that's one of the really exciting things about it, For as old as Thanos is, the idea behind the Black Order, those characters, their role in the universe, they're kind of a newer invention, right? I mean, they first get introduced in the Infinity Saga, which isn't even 10 years old. I don't think. I mean, I'm getting up there, so my sense of time is really gone now, but they're a relatively recent invention. So you say, like, you know, Supergiant, Black Swan being a great example of a character that wasn't even part of that original introduction and came along later. You know, there's a lot of room, right? And I think that, you know, that's part of what really makes kind of our ability to work on the game and the things we get to do is pretty awesome and pretty fun. And so obviously, like, those characters and expanding the Black Order, absolutely, you know. And selfishly, I would love to see those characters. I loved the Black Order. I loved the miniseries that came out after the big Avengers special run with the Challenger and the Grandmaster, and them bringing the Black Order back to life to kind of serve as cronies, and then them kind of taking that stuff out and becoming a new force again outside of Thanos in the Marvel Universe, which led to their kind of character miniseries, which was amazing, and I totally want to see more of. So yeah. So while I can't comment on future releases, I can say that given an infinite timeline, or even just a realistic timeline, there are so many things that we, I think, get to explore and get to, you know, be excited about. And expanding on the Black Order or the Avengers or, you know, the Defenders, the Web Warriors, whatever. That's all stuff that makes the future exciting. And who knows what that means or what it looks like or when it'll happen. But it's there. And I think that's one of the really cool things about it. And, you know, on top of that, we don't even know what else the future may bring. Like, what things are we not even prepared for yet that, you know, the storytellers at Marvel, the creative teams at Marvel will come up with that will wow us again and make us go, oh man, when does that get in the game? When does this happen? When does that happen? So there you go. Yeah, Thanos spoilers. They're coming. They're coming. Josh is doing a lot of work on them. He's got plans. This month is definitely going to be focused on our Marvel big bad guy. We have a lot of fun content coming. I think people will be really happy with Thanos and where he wound up, and I know we had a lot of fun playing him, and Pagani did a really good job designing him and then redesigning him and probably redesigning the redesign. He went through a lot of iterations. The thing that I think people probably don't know that I can likely say is that in the very, very first kind of plan on how we wanted the game to roll out and everything, and I know when we started work, we had kind of intended initially to have Thanos come out in like the second or third month, because we just wanted to get to him that bad, and we really wanted to introduce him to the game. So he's been in playtest or in design and testing and stuff for a long time. Like right around the same time as most of the current characters that were released in the first couple months. And part of that was because of the scope of, you know, what he represented, being that he was going to introduce the raid rules, and he was kind of the impetus for that Ultimate Encounter, and we knew that he was going to be a big deal, and we really, you know, we wanted to have him kind of dominating the space of Crisis Protocol as the first big, you know, significant cosmic kind of threat. That character that just really makes you have to wear your brown pants, as a certain character on my shirt would say. So it's been a long road to get here, and it's been fun, but, you know, one of the things that really turned out that was really great about how that worked was that we were able to devote so much time to getting kind of Thanos, I think, right, to getting the gems down, to determining like what all this stuff meant from a game perspective, and evolving that along and making sure it was really core to the game. So you know, we haven't really discussed like any kind of system by which fans could impact game design or character design or anything like that. It's an interesting idea, for sure. But definitely is not something that we've really ever even discussed in any kind of like fashion. Back on camera there. Back on camera. I have to watch my time because this is the kind of painting that really gets away from you. But I figured we have like a whole month, so let's really just dive in and kind of take a different approach with this Thanos, and really kind of like break him out. I can actually show him next to Hulk. We'll use these. We'll use the fancy painted ones. So there you go. There they are. Kind of base to base. So he's a big boy, but you know, Hulk is bigger. And then of course Black Dwarf is way chunkier. But that's your scale right there. So there you go. Can I show him next to his card? Oh, you guys are clever. I like it. I like it. I'm not falling for it, but I like it. That's why we don't give Dallas cards, because he would have been like, well, yes, I can. I don't understand why that matters, but the Thanos, everything you need for the Thanos Ultimate Encounter is in the box, which is an entirely different Thanos stat card, obviously, for his Ultimate Encounter rules. The new Infinity Gems, the Ultimate Gems, which are used in the encounter. A full printed Ultimate Encounter rulebook. So for those who like to have their rules in print form, Thanos is the place to get the Ultimate Encounter rules, both the core rules and then of course the rules for his specific Ultimate Encounter. And he comes with some pretty huge token sheets, which are used in the encounter as well. And I think the thing that like Pagani can affirm on the chat, because I think I saw him lurking in there, is like the Thanos pack the Thanos Ultimate Encounter Pack is really kind of like the truest expression of what the Ultimate Encounter form is. It is, this whole expansion to the game. It is new tokens that are designed specifically for it, not just kind of like utilizing what exists necessarily or things like that. It is its own standalone kind of game expansion, and therefore it comes with a lot of content for that. And that was kind of like, that was always the idea, that we would have, as we kind of talked about with Ultron and even the Hulk and stuff, we would have this free content, this digital content that expanded the game experience and what you could do with your collections in a fun and engaging way that really made sense for the story and the characters and all of that. But, at the same time, we really wanted to be able to push in kind of unique and different ways even what an Ultimate Encounter meant. And in order to do that, those times are definitely like Thanos times. They're where you get ultimate infinity gems that do things that are just, they're downright ludicrous in anything but an Ultimate Encounter. So that's part of like what's really exciting too with Thanos, is that I think it's going to be the time where everybody gets to look at, to see kind of a glimpse of what the future holds. Not just for, the Ultimate Encounter mode, but also kind of the scope into which the game can go next, and how we can hopefully continue to push and expand what the experience of the game means and how these things work through new event formats, new game formats, all of this stuff. Because ultimately, being people who have been in the hobby forever, who love, the time and the effort and the experience that you get from doing the hobby, like, we want to make sure that there's as much excitement and fun and different ways to experience the game and the world as possible. And that's kind of where we focus our efforts, both through new product offerings as well as the things we do as value content or as additional play content to keep everybody having fun and engaged and just loving everything, hopefully, and finding a mode that's right for people. Some people really love multiplayer, co-op, semi-cooperative, that kind of stuff. That's just the game and the experience that they love the most. And so why shouldn't we give that experience using these awesome miniatures and a game that we certainly enjoy. I'm sure everyone out there watching the stream probably agrees it's a pretty fun game. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I don't know why you're here, but it's all about that. We got it left. All right. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to mix up my Arctic Blue next, and I think I'm going to mix that actually in with my Elandri Gray, because I want to kind of like build this color up a little bit. I don't want it to be super stark like right away. So we're just going to lighten up that color. And then we're going to go in. Get that nice and loose with some water. Out. Josh showed the card on Twitter. My gosh. Alright, well, if Josh showed it off, I guess I can show it off. I have one sitting here somewhere. Give me a second, I'll get it. I don't suppose I need to, like, confirm this, that this actually happened. I can trust you guys, right? So again, I'm just going through, laying in my highlights using my second brush, which is a little wet. Do a little bit of blending on stuff and make sure that meter it out. So we're just going to go back around and do it all over again, basically, and build up our highlights a little bit more, and we'll just keep doing that until we get the suit to kind of where we want in terms of its brightness. And I'm mostly just using like the really well-defined musculature on this guy to kind of build in a little bit of like a comic book style where we just have really like sharp highs and some really kind of darker lows. And then I can go back through and I can use a glaze or a wash if I want to kind of bring back in that purple if I need to. The biggest trick is just making sure that my paint stays pretty thin, which will make it easier to blend and gives it more opacity so that as I blend it out, I can kind of stretch it over where I want it to. And if it starts to thicken up too much, kind of like it did there, because it's drying on my brush, I'll wind up with kind of these bathtub rings. And so you want to avoid that. Now Dallas doesn't care. Dallas is a troublemaker. No doubt. He is a true troublemaker. Come in here and hit these up. Basically, I'm just coming through, trying to give a little texture to the cloth a bit. So some highlighting, some like really sharp brush strokes. Make it look like that cloth is kind of stretching as he like makes his movements. Sure, keep my brush consistently wet. guys can kind of see how that's coming through and how we're getting those sharper highlights going on. If I make a mistake, I just smooth it out. Perfect. Love it. Smooth it out. Brush nice and washed. Come back in. Back out. And then I'm just going to like smooth out some of those lines so they're not quite as stark. Let's see how. Blend those in to make them look a little bit more natural. That's how you start. You just start kind of with some sharp paint, and then you just come in there and kind of feather or blend out depending on the technique you're using. Paint that way. Let's see, we got 10 minutes left. So I'll probably finish the rest of the suit off camera because it's just going to be more and more of this. And we do want to get to those hashtag painting protocol pics. I'm going to show those off and kind of talk a little bit about the decisions behind which ones we picked and what we loved about them. So there's kind of the start, or at least halfway through, I would say, probably. Maybe 3/4 of the way through of our kind of desaturated native color Thanos suit. So we still have to do the back, which is still pretty dark. But I'll hit that up off camera because I don't want to like run out of time here, but there we go. Yeah, we're still going to definitely have to do the face. We'll decide what color we want to do that. Probably like a really deep, rich purple for his skin. Because everything else is going to be pretty washed out. I definitely want to keep the armor plates, and we'll do all this next week. So join me back 1 p.m. Pacific next week as we continue our Thanos run. So probably what I'll do off camera is I'll just finish out kind of the cloth to the point to where I'm at now. Get all those highlights in so we can call that good. And then we'll move on to the armor. The face, and then we'll spend some time really looking at the gauntlet and how to do the gems. So there you go. So this is kind of the start of our really sinister, desaturated Thanos. I'm really digging where he's coming along, so we'll keep going with that, and we'll just kind of play along with it. We'll come up with a pretty unique but evil-looking Thanos. So, from that, let's look at some really beautiful and finished miniatures that you guys did for the hashtag painting protocol event. So here is our first one. So this was done by Brian Nowakowski. Hopefully I said that right. Super awesome hella. This one jumped right out at me. This was one of my picks. As I was going through the Instagram, and I really love like the purple flame against that green kind of less saturated suit color. Just it pops, right? It just jumps right off on you. The highlighting on the purples to bring it up to that high magenta is great. Obviously the blending's really smooth. I think it was a really bold choice to use the same color for the horns as the suit. You know, in the comics, sometimes the horns are green, sometimes the horns are fabric. So it's not strange, but or like unexpected. But I think it's like it really shows how clean and how well the colors are used to make those horns look really good against the rest of the miniature as well. So just a really awesome job by Brian. I super dug it, and it was like right off the page. And he did a great job using the base to kind of make the miniature pop more, using that darker base, and then trusting in the purples to kind of sub-illuminate the miniature itself is really smart. So a lot of fun stuff there. And then moving on to my next choice. Oh, here it comes. So this was Tim DeBoss Davis. Again, another one that just jumped off for me. I super loved the extreme edge highlighting that was used on the greens. So like this is a place where some really strong kind of highlight choices just really makes things pop up. See, there you go. You saw it work. But yeah, so really great work on the greens. I think the armor is really poppy. It's got that great kind of colored metallic to it. Even the boots have a really nice, I think it's all contrast with this mini. So you go from really dark to really bright really fast, but it's done in a manner that isn't disjointed, and it just makes the whole thing kind of pop off of the base and everything. And I think the ice effects are done great. Like, to me, that just looks cold. So I know right away that like it's really chilly down there. And I think the OSL on the staff is also really solidly done. Has some nice bright pop to it, so really solid color choices. I really liked this one. For me, it was like no question as well. And then my last pick was from Splintered Brush Studio, and this one, like, I really loved it. So I'm a huge Captain Marvel fan. Carol Danvers, read so much of her individual runs and all of that. So seeing her in the Ms. Marvel outfit to me was really great. It's one that I knew for a long time. But I think the simple conversion work also really like sells this one, right? There wasn't a lot that Splintered Brush had to do to get to a really great Ms. Marvel look. But the elements are all there. They're all very clean. So it's just really great hobby combined with some really great colors. Like the blacks are really nice and rich. The yellow symbol on the suit, I think, is done really well in terms of the choices that they made, using kind of ochres to build up that yellow rather than just a primary yellow, which would probably look off and be too bright. But instead you get this really nice kind of natural lightning bolt that's still really nice and bright, and it ties in really well with the hair. So you see kind of everything going on, right? And then, of course, the sash like really jumps it off, and I think, again, just kind of the way that they approached this miniature in order to turn it from Captain Marvel into Ms. Marvel was really cool, and so I just really dug this one, and it just jumped out at me through like the clever conversion, really being true to the essence of the character, and then just nailing, I think, some of those elements to make that mini just really pop out. So there we go. So those are my 3 picks. For everything. I'm going to move. Oh my gosh. We're going to stick on that just 1 second as I break everything. We're going to move back to this, and we're going to clear that. Hey, come on now. Do I have to do it again? Oh, I have to do it again. There we go. Haha! Alright guys, well thank you so much for joining me for this hour of painting. Congratulations to all of the picks, that the first 3 anyway, that we showed off today. Again, tune in 1 p.m. Pacific this Thursday to see Dallas as he takes on Gauntlet Thanos, I guess, is the best way to say that, with his own particular color scheme. So I'm very excited to see what he does there. And of course, he'll have some more painting challenge picks from the staff to show off as well. And if you didn't get picked this month, last month, there's always this month. So we're looking for textures. So get in there, do some stippling, do some dry brushing, do some hatching, do some scritching. All kinds of cool things that you can do with textures. So we're just really looking to get like down and gritty and real on those miniatures. And it was awesome. Everyone who entered with the hashtag painting protocol did an amazing job. It was really hard to pick. Just the 6 kind of picks that we had for this month, but it was awesome. I can't wait to see more from everybody. If you haven't checked out the Instagram, just go to Instagram, type in hashtag painting protocol. You're going to see all of the entries from people that submitted stuff, and it was all just fantastic. Like, so much good stuff, so much inspiration. Really super cool. Can't wait to see what happens this month. We were just really thrilled. So thank you so much, guys, for that response, for everybody who submitted and is just joining us along in this painting journey and this whole game experience. We can't say enough good things about you. We love you. And you guys stay safe, and we'll see you on Thursday for Dallas's painting stream, 1 p.m. Pacific again. And then join me back here on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific as we continue on our Thanos in his current color scheme. I'm very excited to see where this guy turns out. So thank you guys. Have a great afternoon, and we will talk to you all very soon.